Hey, what is up? What's going on? Just getting started? Man, happy Saturday. Let me see if this is right. This seems a little loud. Something seems a little bit off, but that's okay. How's it going? Man, lots of people in here this weekend. Happy Saturday. Man, what do you guys got going on this weekend? Probably a ton of awesome projects that I'm going to be super jealous of when I start hearing about it, especially if people start talking about 10 gig, ZFS, home lab stuff, networking upgrades. I'm like, oh, wish that were me. How's it going, man? Some comments already. Wampus Dev, hey, how's it going? No Route, hey, how's it going? What's up? Hey, Tinkerfoo, what's up, everyone? Setting up your home lab, Wampus Dev, nice. What aspect? What are you working on? What part? Infrastructure, hardware, networking, services, self-hosting some stuff? Yeah, tell me more. What are you working on? No Route, my weekend project is compiling XP from the leaked source code. Interesting. That sounds interesting. That sounds fun. Yeah, that sounds super fun to actually just run and see if it'll actually work. Is it C? I have no idea what Windows XP was written in. I assume super low level, something like C or C++. Sounds interesting. If it's somewhere and it's not illegal to download, I would download it just to see if I can compile it just for fun and see how long it would take. I'd probably throw it on my R710 and just say go. Hey, Kyle Vane, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Takano, heyo, what's up, man? How's it going, Takano? No trolls. You guys keep an eye on Takano. He likes to slip in trolls every now and then, and sometimes I fall for him, and sometimes I make assumptions about what he said, and I don't realize they're trolls, but I'm like, oh, I think he made a mistake, so I'll just won't correct it, but not anymore. I got my eye on you. Mr. Jobot, hey, how's it going? Hey, Mr. Jobot, first time catching your stream, but have been making my way through all your YouTube videos. Thank you. Great presentation style and really informative. Got some DevSecOps questions for you if you don't mind. Yeah, DevSecOps. Whoa, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I'd like to know. Oh, I'm scared now. Uh-oh, it's probably gonna be like, everything you're doing is totally insecure, and no, I'm kidding. Yeah, for sure. And if I don't know the question, they're like always, there's tons of smart people in here who may know the answer as well. One sec. Okay, I'm getting some feedback, and I was like, what is going on? And I think like the neighbor's mowing or something, but anyway, I got my windows open. I like to keep some fresh air in here. But anyways, Sigor, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Wampus, hey, Tinkerfoo. I'm rebuilding my rack. It is just a mess. And I started with Kubernetes deep dive. Nice. Whoa. Dang. Kyle Vane. Dang. 1,000 bits. Dude, thank you so much. Show love. I agree. Thank you for the YouTube tutorials. Had a blast last night. Writing in JS for the first time. LUL. Hey, thank you so much. No, I definitely appreciate it. You know, you're not alone diving into languages you've never written before, because this week I've been writing Python, and it's different. I'll just say that. It's a lot different than what I'm used to. Yeah, my neighbor's mowing. But anyways, so hopefully it doesn't get too loud. If it does, I'll take a quick break and close the window. Anyways, but thank you so much. Wow, that was super nice. Yeah, you got to see my blue Mega Man too, man. I put so much time and effort into getting those GIFs the right color according to bit level. But thank you so much appreciated. Yeah, and there he is back there. He's a little bit out of blur, out of focus. But man, thank you so much. Let's see here, Tinkerfoo, rebuilding your rack. It's just a mess, and started a deep dive into Kubernetes. When you say rebuilding your rack, do you mean physically? Do you mean virtually, like the services? Yeah, change those lights. Oh yeah, there we go. Green. Thank you. Thanks for spending those points. Thanks for earning them, and then obviously for spending them too. Hi, Tree for free. Hey, how's it going? A little high in there. I didn't see that. Mr. Jobot, my weekend project is Dockerizing Nessus in a way that doesn't break their licensing. Interesting. I don't know what Nessus is. Tell me more about Nessus. That sounds interesting. Wampus Dev, hey, how's it going? Sigor, nope. Just mowing here. Yeah, so is the neighbor, which I'm probably gonna have to take a quick audio break real quick. Mute it here if it gets any louder. because I can hear it when I talk, and obviously you guys can probably hear it too. And just close my window real quick. But anyway, let's see here. Techno was able to transfer pfSense into a VM with 10 gigs of storage, freeing up 20 gigs. Nice. Transfer P. Oh, okay. I got you. Yes, because you reserved or created a huge disk drive for it, right? And then you had problems scaling it down. Yeah, man. Sounds awesome. Wampus. Well, I'm getting errors. Self-hosting, specifically Rancher. Interesting. I was Fiona in the Discord. Oh, hey, how's it going? Yeah, that's interesting because like if you're on the first couple of steps, man, that's tough because it literally should be like once you get your Ubuntu server set up, get Docker set up, you can hear it. Yeah. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna mute this and I'm gonna take care of the window. 1 sec. Sorry guys. 1 sec. All right, there we go. That should be better. Sorry about that. I thought I could get by with the windows open, and usually I hear kids screaming and playing, and that's totally fine. But it's usually, you guys probably can't hear it, but I can hear it. But the mower, when I looked out there was like mower, leaf blower, and raking going on. People are getting ready for fall. All these leaves are falling. But sorry about that. So thank you for letting me know. So Wampus Dev, yeah, I mean, I'll try to help on Discord if I can, but man, it's pretty straightforward to deploy, get Ubuntu going, a couple of commands, should be up and running. You got to install your agent, make sure you do that right, but it gives you a copy, I call it copy pasta, but it gives you copy and paste commands that you just paste right into your Ubuntu server. Shortly after that, those agents should come up and then Kubernetes should be running. So let me know. Wolf Norek, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Kyle Vane, I already said that, but thanks again for the bits. Shuckle Samurai, how's it going? Hey all, my weekend project is finishing up an outdoor couch. Awesome. And putting on the first coat of stain, nice. Then tomorrow, I got an Asus motherboard and a Ryzen 9 showing up. Awesome. That sounds like an awesome combo. Ryzen 9, how many cores is that? Are we in the 12 core, 16 core? Man, that is awesome though. Ryzen 9, one day I'll get a Ryzen machine. But man, that sounds awesome. Sounds like a good day tomorrow for you, for sure. So you got quite the project going on. And so today you're taking care of chores and tomorrow's fun time with motherboard and building a new PC. Sounds awesome. Mr. Jobot, I've been a traditional pen tester for 18 years, but I'm trying to get into DevSecOps. So I'm learning as much as I can about everything DevOps to find out where I can help customers with their security. Interesting. Yeah. Man, big topic, but that sounds awesome. I've worn a kind of DevOps hat-ish for, I mean, my title was never DevOps, but I was always developer. But, when you work either on very small teams or for very small companies, someone's got to wear that hat. And so a few times I've had to wear kind of that hat to help set stuff up, like, set up code pipelines, set up Kubernetes, set up Google Cloud, set up Azure, set up AWS. Definitely no expert, but I'll answer what I can. I'm gonna move this, man. Rode. Somebody needs to tell Rode that is not normal. They tell me that's normal. Anyway, but yeah. So, so you want to do security, like evaluations or auditing on DevOps type stuff, right? That's kind of what it sounds like. Yeah. Let me know. Let me know more about your questions. Sigor, FYI, we can hear your neighbor. That's whether or not need to close the window. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'm getting caught up now. Mr. Jobot, hey, there were a couple of follows. Maddie D, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Axel Shear, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it and welcome. Nessus is a network security scanner. Awesome. Definitely check it out. Their community version is free for up to 16 IP addresses. That sounds awesome. I've only used a handful of IP scanners, and it was only like for fun or to figure out what the heck the name of the device is on my network. I've never done it like, I guess one, I've never done it in Docker, so that sounds awesome. Like I would love something to scan my network all the time and let me know when new devices connect. I mean, most of the time it's going to be me because I have 1,000 devices, but that would be awesome. I should look it up, Nessus, for sure. The community version licensing, though, for up to 16 IP addresses, that might get me. I assume you mean discovered IPs, like devices the IP scanner discovers, or do you mean the host IPs? That wouldn't make sense because that would be a ton of scanners running. But that's awesome. Let me know. I would love to do something like that at some point, just to help monitor my network, just to make sure. I mean, my stuff's pretty decently. I mean, it's physically locked down. Like no one can come into my house and plug in a network cable unless they come into my house and plug in a network cable. And then obviously wireless is, everyone's got Wi-Fi. My password's pretty secure, and I don't give it out. And then I have a guest network that's isolated for people who then visit and want to use it. So, but you never know unless you know, unless you start scanning. So it sounds interesting to me. I'm super interested in that type of stuff. I just haven't found great tools for it yet. It's Bach. You can hear it. Yeah, thank you for letting me know. So Mr. Jobot, it's called Nessus Essentials now, not Community Edition. Okay, yeah, I'll check it out for sure. 16 IPs, that sounds kind of small though. I mean, that would burn up and it would scan and be like, hey, we'll tell you about 16 devices, but we won't tell you about the other 84 because I have so many. But awesome either way. And if a license, whatever, a single user license isn't that much and it's a great tool, I would love to support it too. But got to check it out. Don't know what it is. Sigor, that's awesome. I've used Nessus for years, but never thought to containerize it. Let me know if you get it working. Love to try it out. Yeah, me too. Yeah, for sure. If you guys get these Docker containers into Docker Hub, I would love to test some of those out too. Well, depending on, I'd have to see the source code first, but that's just me. But for sure, I trust you guys, right? Just like you would trust me if I created a Docker container. Hopefully, we'll see. Tinkerfoo, Nessus is just a kind of package manager that supports multiple formats. Okay, interesting. The Nessus license is based on the MAC address of the host OS, so I'm trying to get that sorted out in the container. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that sounds, sorry, I have like an itch. That sounds hard to figure out. Auto mod, you're holding on to that. That is not a bad word. Anyways, Takano, yeah, I allocated 30 gigs to it. Weekend project is to get Home Assistant running now, currently running an LXC container. Awesome. Yeah, let me know how that goes. And let me know if you're gonna go the plain old Docker route or the HASIO route with a full OS. I've been running it the Docker route. It's been running fine, but the HASIO version also does like a ton of Docker stuff too, so they don't play fair. They don't play well together. So you got to install a lot of things individually. But awesome nonetheless. I've been hacking away too at some of the Home Assistant stuff, some of their source code to see how they did some stuff for some other thing I'm working on. But man, the Home Assistant is so awesome, and man, there's so much work and so much like goodwill that goes into that product. It doesn't get enough recognition. Let's see here, Wampus Tab. I'm gonna attempt to reinstall now. I just cleared my Docker containers. Awesome. Yeah, so remove all your Docker containers. I think someone in our Discord had a command that was like, hey, just run this and this will totally clear out all your containers. But I mean, it's simple Docker commands. It's Docker stop all your containers, Docker remove all your containers, and then remove all your images too. You might as well do that while you're at it too. But yeah, let me know. No route. I can't comment on the legality of the XP source code, but if you want to know where to find it, let me know. Yeah, I mean, if it's on the internet, yeah, and I mean, I'm not gonna like compile it and do anything bad. I just want to be able to do it and say I did it, and then also see how long it takes too. It amazes me how long some things take to compile. But I couldn't imagine something as big as a whole entire operating system like Windows XP. Honestly, I've never even compiled Linux from scratch, which sounds kind of fun. But yeah, I'm sure if it is newsworthy, it'll be out there on Google too. Wampus. All right, Rancher reinstall. Here I go. Is Ubuntu 2004 an issue? No, Ubuntu 2004 should be fine. Just make sure you use updated Docker scripts that are in their GitHub repo. There's some scripts on which version of Docker are compatible, and they'll actually have scripts that will install it for you. So I think in the tutorial I used like 1803 or something, 18 something rather, but now there's 1903.12 or something weird. They have a patch dot 1903.12. Yeah, there's an extra dot in there, which is weird for semantic versioning. But anyways, yeah, check it out there. Yeah, it's like the build number. Anyways, Techno, I'm pretty interested. DM me on Discord. Oh, yeah, I'd love to compile it too. We'll see. If it's I'll check Google's later. Shuckle Samurai, exactly. Yes. Sigor, Ubuntu 2004 worked fine, but I did have to do it twice to get it working. Not sure what I did wrong, but reinstalling it again worked fine. Yeah, good to know. Yeah, I think I've done it 3 or 4 times before I got it totally right, and it wasn't because the install was wrong, or I just, I switched Ubuntu versions, switched Docker versions, and then I did it a couple times just to make sure it worked, and then I did it for real. It's usually how my stuff goes. And then, I realized, changing your IP later is a nightmare, which kind of makes sense, but it shouldn't be that drastic, but it kind of is. So yeah, I've rebuilt that machine a few times. Yeah. Shuckle Samurai. Let's see, it's 12 core, 24 threads. That is awesome. So the Ryzen 9 12 core, 24 threads. Yeah, that's a beast CPU for sure. Yeah, I would love that. I keep thinking about so I've said this a few times, but November is usually the time when I start getting the itch to upgrade, to rebuild, to build new, and I'm kind of getting that a little bit early. And I keep thinking about what my next workstation will be. Even though this workstation is pretty good, I would like to upgrade, and I keep debating, is it going to be a Ryzen 9 or something else with a 3080 too. And I was just thinking, I was rendering my video last night, and I was just like, man, this would be cruising if I had better GPU, CPU. I mean, I have pretty decent now. I mean, it's pretty decent. I mean, my GPU is nothing to get excited about. It's a 1080, and my CPU is Coffee Lake. CPU, 6 core? So, I mean, you have double the cores there on a Ryzen 9. I'm just like, that's, I obviously wouldn't be half the time, but it'd shave off a good chunk of it, especially for video rendering and stuff like that. And it'd be great right now, too, for encoding. At least the GPU would be. But yeah, I keep thinking about it. I'm like, I hope that I can get a 3080 when I want one. I have a feeling I won't. I have a feeling a lot of people won't. And I said this, I think last stream, is a lot of people are kind of wait and see. Right now you have the diehard people who want a 3080, buying a 3080, and they're finding ways to get it. Then we'll have another wave of the people who have been waiting to upgrade, but they're not the diehards, but they're going to do it. And so they'll upgrade. And then we have this whole other camp of people who are, diehard AMD people, and they're like, I don't care. I'm going to wait to see what AMD launches, and I'm going to buy what AMD launches. And then we have the undecided people, and that's what I'm scared about, is when I make my move, it might be at the same time all the undecided people make their move to upgrade their video card. And it's as soon as people start posting numbers, and I'm not talking about marketing material for AMD. As soon as people are able to compare AMD GPUs to NVIDIA GPUs, then you might have either a wave of people who just go back to NVIDIA for whatever reason, or a wave of people who hold off to buy AMD. I'm scared that I'll fall into that group of all the undecided people that want to go with AMD anyway, or NVIDIA anyways, and then I'll be like, oh man. But then again, I could go AMD, but I think I've talked about this before. I need NVENC and for a few things, and so I think I don't have my mind totally made up, but it's pretty close. Anyways, I'm rambling about that. But yeah, 3080, it's going to be hard to get. It already is. I think it will be for a long time. Let's see here. Tinkerfu. Oh, mixed up. Nessus with Nexus from Sonatype. Oh, I see. Mixed up the name. Yeah, when I see Nexus, I think of this. Well, it's totally it's a game thing, and it's not even spelled the same. So, anyways, Joy Locky. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Sigor. Nessus is great, but watch out for plugin 21745. If you get that one, it means your credentials failed and can give you false scan, making you think you don't have any vulnerabilities. Yeah, that's interesting to know. Have to check it out. Nola Wright, my Wi-Fi password is 4 words, all uppercase. Yeah, with spaces in between. Hey, that's better than most people's Wi-Fi passwords. And I was just talking about this with a friend. Like, I think the last time people, I mean, you know, normal people, not that we're not normal, but the last time people changed their home Wi-Fi password was probably when they went from WEP to WPA2 or WPA or something else, which was a long time ago. And some of those people probably just carried over their WEP password to their WPA password. And that's a long time. I mean, people have probably had the same Wi-Fi password for 10 years, which is, you know, say what you want about it, which is kind of crazy. But I think the thing that holds people back from changing it is like updating, like, I mean, I have 38, 39, 40, something like that, wireless devices that are connected at all day. You know, some go to sleep, some wake up. Those aren't counted in that number. But man, that's a lot of devices to try and figure out to change. I wish it was easier. I wish there was, and maybe there is, but I wish there were some local utility. I mean, that was open source, obviously, so I could see what it's doing. That would help facilitate the changing of passwords on all of my clients, which it probably doesn't exist. It'd have to be like an app on a phone or something, I think is probably the only way. And then, yeah, I think it'd have to be an app on a phone, just because there's no way I'd be able to change that on my phone from something else. But anyways, I don't know. Nothing probably exists because it's way too complicated, and not everyone would play along. It could be used very dangerously too. But anyways, yeah, so yeah, people's Wi-Fi passwords have been the same for a really long time. I wish it were easier. I wish there was some protocol built into the router or something I could just go and say, and hey, router, this is my new password. Yes, I'm really me. Go tell all the clients to do this thing and update all their passwords, and do that on a timer, or do something, you know, just go crazy. I mean, if you can automate it to that point, change my password every day. Who cares? I don't know what it is. But yeah. Anyways, I'm rambling. Yeah, back to Tokyo Nights. Thank you for redeeming those points. Looks like Noel out. Thank you. Thanks for earning them. Thanks for spending them. Appreciate it. Anyways, I'm rambling. Nessus, or Mr. Jobot. Nessus is less of a network monitoring solution, more of a port scan, check version, report vulnerabilities, etc. It can log given credentials and do a full build review. Interesting. Yeah, the only IP scanners I've ever used was like on my Windows machine to like figure out what some random thing was right now on my network. And I used like Angry IP Scanner or something like that. I think there were like 2 out at the time when I needed to do it, and that was one. And that would go out, scan, I think look at the Mac, do a reverse lookup on the Mac, try to determine what type of device it is. Yeah. But then I also saw something too. I won't go too far off on this, but now Apple on iOS 14, I think they generate a fake Mac like every time you connect to a network, which is pretty awesome, but kind of sucks for me at home because I noticed that my iPhone has like, I'll see it, well, a MAC address that looks like my iPhone has reserved a couple of IPs on my DHCP scope. And this might have been just some anomaly, but I think that iOS introduced something in 14 now that actually, which is awesome, anonymizes and generates a fake, MAC address for your phone every time it connects to a network, which is pretty awesome to think about. I think you can turn it off, but anyways, so for me, I've been seeing like a couple of my iPhones. I'm like, okay, I think I know what's going on. Yeah, so I'll have to check out Nessus. Seems like a lot of people are interested in it, and it seems like it's something that might work for me. Joey Locky, I'm new to all this right now and working on lots of home automation. Nice. Home Assistant, awesome. And self-hosting stuff. Any recommendation about good starter hardware? Right now, using a few Raspberry Pis. Awesome. That's a great question. So Raspberry Pis are a great way to start, especially like the newer ones that are quad core now. Great way to start. My suggestion is to and I say this a lot, and I do mean it, is to, if you're just getting started and you're going to upgrade from a Raspberry Pi, for me personally, the next logical step is a desktop class PC, because for a few reasons. One, they're cheap. Two, you might already own one, right? You might be on a PC right now that's would be more than capable of handling, a few workloads, few dozen workloads, 100 workloads, depending on what they're doing. And so I always lean towards like, use what you have. So if you have an older PC, that's even if it's a Pentium processor or a Core Duo, go way back, or an old AMD, that's going to be a lot more power than your Raspberry Pi. And obviously then you'll have faster RAM, faster hard drives, right? Because I think part of the performance you see on Raspberry Pi sometimes is read and write times on micro SDs. So that's a good way to go. I always say use what you have, and if you want, and you already have an existing PC, what I say too is just, hey, upgrade your current PC, make that your first home lab or test bed for whatever you want to run, and replace the thing you're on. So then you basically get two upgrades. You get to upgrade the PC that you're on with something probably better than what you have, and then your server, quote unquote, could be your old PC that you're on now. Then if you do want to buy, and you are thinking, something like enterprise grade, I mean, a lot of people in here and in Discord and this community in general usually start going out to Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or anywhere that they can find used servers, because they're out there. There's lots of them. They're getting upgraded and replaced all the time. So you can do that. I actually bought mine. I have an R710, bought it right off Amazon. And it seems weird, and it may look like I overpaid, but when I start looking at people selling individual servers minus 144 gigs of RAM with lower end processors and no hard drives, for a couple $100, I'm kind of like, well, that RAM is not cheap, nor are hard drives, and my CPUs are a little bit, better than the ones that people are selling. Anyways, long story short, lots of options. I bought mine I bought my server off Amazon, fully loaded. And it runs decent, and it's got great specs, and it was probably, I could have haggled with people on Craigslist and everything, but I just decided, like, I want something all together that works and not have to spend the time or effort into, going around and sifting through all of eBay to find, RAM that works, and then when I put it all together, hoping it all works. Anyways, kind of boring, but things to consider. And then if you want to do any of that, it's out there. I do have some recommendations in the gear section, but take it as a grain of salt. They're just things that I think would work for beginners, and then some for a little more advanced. I need to refresh those, but they're pretty good. Parts are hard to find right now too, in general. But anyways, that's a long answer to that. But upgrading from a Raspberry Pi, I think for me, if you're just experimenting, the next logical step is to use or build a low-end desktop. I mean, that's my recommendation. Yes, you're not going to get ECC RAM, and you're not going to get probably a RAID controller or an HBA controller, but all of those things can be purchased on the side. And it depends on what you're doing too, right? And how critical those workloads are. Anyways, that's a really long answer, but I hope that helps, Joey Lockey. Takano. It was one script that I found that makes an LXC, if I recall, it's just Ubuntu running Docker, which is running a single container from Home Assistant. Hey, Scotty McGavin. Hey, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Oh, I see what you're talking about, Home Assistant. So as one script you found that makes an LXC, if you recall, it's just Ubuntu running Docker, which is running a single container of Home Assistant. Awesome. So that's similar to, I guess, my Docker install. You're doing it through LXC, but there's a distinct difference though between the Docker version of Home Assistant and then the HASS.io version of Home Assistant, because the HASS.io version of Home Assistant actually goes and installs Docker and then installs a lot of their plugins too. And so that's the nice part of getting HAS.io. And if you go in the plain old Docker route, you got to find those plugins yourself and install those as separate Docker containers. It's kind of confusing. I get why they did it. But at the same time, I feel like it kind of stinks for people who already have Docker infrastructure in place. Now they're going to have to, spin up an OS just for this. Anyways, but yeah, let me know, man. Durable. Oh man, this I'm going to get this one. Durable Leidigend. Oh my, I can't do it. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. Derby Leidigende. That's so hard. I'll get it. Hey, how's it going? Uptime. Oh yeah, I should totally. Actually, Peanuts, thanks for trying to use the uptime command. I should totally have that. I used to have it in my other bots. Good call. I will add it for sure. Gorfy, how's it going? Techno. What I did for my network is DHCP range 1 through 200, the network services, pfSense, managed switches, Omada controller, get assigned, and IP start at .1 up to 100. Okay. Then on server services, Proxmox, Docker, server, HAS live on 100 and up. I usually assign them backwards so that Proxmox is 254, then reduced down to 200. Interesting. Yeah, that's a good idea. Or no, .100 and up and .200 and up. I see what you mean. Yeah, I reserve some at the beginning and at the end. And for me, the middle is just the Wild West. For me, the beginning is all most of my kind of infrastructure-y things. And the top end is services or servers. And then the middle, Wild West, just DHCP, go crazy. Actually, Peanuts, hi Tim, been watching a few of your YouTube videos recently and went back to hands-on at home to refresh on new industry tech. Nice. However, the latest Rancher container installs were quite buggy in my home lab. Have you dealt with any login problems or problems with the web interface and Rancher in general lately? No, I haven't. I use it almost all day long because I'm signing in and doing stuff. But no, I haven't noticed anything. I'm on 2.4.8. I don't pull from latest. I have my pin to a tag. So my tag is 2.4.8. I don't know what your tag is or what version you're using. In the UI, you can see what version you're using. That might help. But I haven't noticed anything. I use mine local. So I have multiple instances. I use a lot of local auth, but I also use third-party auth too, and that seems to work fine. I do notice that sometimes, so the one thing I do notice is that, and this is how I have my infrastructure set up, that sometimes when you do the third-party auth with OAuth, with an OAuth provider, they can tell, long story short, I don't think I have my NAT reflection set up properly. I'm just doing a redirect, and Rancher or my third-party auth provider can detect that I'm actually loading it from a local IP versus over the internet. I need to fix my NAT reflection, but that's always just like when I need to do anything like that. Yeah, let me know. Let me know what version you're using. But no, day to day, all day long, I'm using it, I'm in it, I'm checking containers, I'm looking at logs, and it seems to work okay. So maybe it's a specific version issue. Shuckle Samurai, it's gonna get crazy, but in the same camp, Tim. Your November is my September. The first half bonus at work drops last week of September. Nice. Wait, your November is my September. Are you in the Southern Hemisphere? Is that why? Or are you talking about fiscal year? Let me know. Shuckle Samurai. Sigor, password upgrade script for Ansible, possible future video. Yeah, it would be nice. I don't want to think it all the way through here, but I mean, obviously Ansible wouldn't be able to update the wireless, password on my phone. That's why I think start with phone app that could go out and do it, but it would have to, have to, connect to so many services and devices to be able to do it. And then it may or may not even be possible. I mean, think about your TV, your Samsung TV. I mean, you wouldn't be able to change that remotely. Maybe not. Highly doubt it. But yeah, such a pain. I wish it were easier. I think we need something to make this easier. And it's going to be from either an operating system or from some kind of router or network appliance that's going to make that easier. Because man, changing your WPA2 password or whatever your password encryption level is for your Wi-Fi stinks. It's almost like you need like a Radius at home or something. Go full enterprise at home, right? So you just username and password, and then you control that from a centralized system. But yeah, actually, Peanuts can confirm fake Macs on Apple devices, prevents public tracking of movement profiles. In case you ask why, nice. Yeah, I caught a hint of that. Well, I noticed it in my own network, and I thought first that something was going wrong. And then I started Googling around. I'm like, okay, this is actually kind of a cool feature. I mean, it sucks for me as my home network administrator, because now I'm like, oh, okay, I can never really, I don't know how often they do it, but it's harder for me to assign my my device a static IP address. So, but it's easy for me to figure out. I think you can disable that feature too, but I don't want to. Null route. iOS 14 does DHCP exhaustion attacks. Oh, interesting. I don't know. Do they? Takano, they also now notify users if the network you're on is trying unsecured DNS and blocks and encrypts DNS. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I know some people are Apple haters. I dislike some things about Apple, as I do a lot of other big companies and other devices I use. I mean, I have a lot of criticism for a lot of the things I use, especially ones that I invest in, like Apple products. But man, they are doing some awesome stuff lately. And I'm not even talking about the hype. I'm just talking about things like this, like things that, may or may not be mentioned that they're doing in the name of security and tracking. And it's cool to see. It's cool to see. They turned on the security switch, I think about 3 or 4 years ago, at least publicly, saying they're going to be, security focused. Now we're starting to see some of that, and it's awesome. I think it's really awesome. I think this is a good move for people using iOS devices, and hopefully, Android, Google, Microsoft, they all fall in line. I don't know if this is new for devices to do, but I think it's awesome. I think it's really awesome. That's cool. That's too cool. Oh, Sigor, thank you. Null route, if you're in Netherlands selling my HP DL360G8, hit me up. All right, yeah. Want to buy? We can, yeah. Selling. What am I trying to say? Totally. List things you're selling in chat. Why not? Go for it. Like the trade channel in World of Warcraft. Anything and everything in there. Go for it. But man, yeah, I've never owned an HP server. Never. I mean, I've only owned one server in my life, which is the Dell I have now. And outside of that, I've only racked IBM ones. And that was way back. But yeah, awesome. How does it run? Let me know, Null Route. Wampus, currently waiting for etcd and control plane nodes to be registered. Hey, you're on the right path then. Mr. Joe, so my original DevSecOps question for any developers in here, how widespread is the practice of adding security testing to unit tests, or do people generally focus on unit testing to make sure the code works? Hey, great question. So yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that's a great question. So I'll answer that with my own experience and where I think this might help. So yes, how do I start? During CI, there are things that a developer can or should do, arguably, to verify their code. And we got a couple follows real quick. J-Man, hey, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. And Kajay V, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. So during CI, developers should do things, or may or should, you can argue, whatever. But I'm going to say should do things to verify their code. And so some of the things I do to verify the code that I just wrote is 1, write unit test. 2, write end-to-end test if you have the environment in place, right? So you're going to test this feature all the way through, front end, back end, all the way through. And then link to your code. That one's easy. And then security checks. The security checks one is hard because that might not be something you do during CI, but you could. Which is, yeah, so I'll get to here in a second, my next thought. So you can do that during CI, and there are tools to do it. Those security, those security checks could be against packages you're using, or it could be against the code that you're writing. So you have a couple paths there. If it's against the code that you're writing, that might be tough. There are, a lot of linters and checkers out there that can do stuff. I mean, Microsoft's been doing that for a long time on .NET stuff, and I'm sure Java and other languages have them too. But then you can also check the packages that they're using for known vulnerabilities too, which is an easy one, right? Because like, hey, this company of this package or this package I use published a vulnerability. Don't use that version, and that one's really easy to figure out. At least for me in JavaScript, and Microsoft bought NPM, but I can just do an NPM vulnerability check against all of the dependencies I'm using and do a real quick scan. Do I do it all the time? No. Should I do it more often? Yeah. So then, to top all of that off, then if you use things like GitHub, I think this is part of the reason why Microsoft bought NPM, is that you can do that vulnerability scan in the background all the time on a schedule against all of your source code across, all repos in your entire enterprise. So it's a really long answer. So, so I don't know if that's helpful. I don't know if that's how other companies do it. That's how I think about it in my head. Have I ever worked for a company that did all of that? No. I think the companies or orgs that are doing it the best are open source projects, right? Because they have all these tools that can do it for them, and they have all these people that can contribute adding those features to it, or turning on those flags to do that type of thing to their own repos. So anyways, I'm going probably too far on that. But for the most part, to answer your question directly, most of the time developers are focusing on unit tests and possibly, end-to-end or functional tests too. But that's not to say that they should only focus on that. But there are systems in place where you can do that stuff for them behind the scenes, and they don't have to worry about it. I mean, should they? I mean, on the dependency end, should they have to worry about it in the code they're writing? Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, there might be linters to detect that type of thing. But if it's just dependency-based stuff, like it's hard. Like I'm writing code now. I pull in 5 dependencies, and that has 1,000 child dependencies, and I don't know all of the vulnerabilities for all that stuff, and that's where you got to bring in tools to help you with that. So, anyways, that's a long answer of kind of, I guess, my perspective, how I think of it. May not be right, may be totally wrong or totally different. Hopefully that helps. That's a really long answer, but it's an interesting question. Joey Lockheed, thanks for the information. Didn't think of eBay or Facebook Marketplace. I do have 2 old machines. Oh yeah. Facebook Marketplace is surprisingly awesome for this type of things too. For selling in general, like I don't do a lot of Facebook stuff, period. But their marketplace, things move. Things get published on there and things move. I published 1 or 2 things on there, gone before I could even, probably 10 minutes after I posted it. So anyways, yeah, those are great places to look. But if you have 2 old machines and they're, even a Core 2 Duo or a Core Quad, I'm talking about old Intel processors, with, buy some cheap SSDs, the $20, $30 ones they are now, and put that together. And I mean, you'll have, a huge performance boost over Raspberry Pis if you're experiencing anything like that. So anyways, hope that helps. Geos1, traffic, font, like me. I think you mean don't like me, but I agree. Traffic don't like me all the time too. Yeah. Where's NL? Oh, yeah, Newfoundland. I don't want to pronounce that because every time I pronounce people say Newfoundland or Newfoundland. I don't want to say it that way because every time I say it that way, I get corrected. And you're in Quebec. I don't even want to say Quebec because I think people in Quebec say Quebec, or people in Canada do. So anyways, that one's all loaded. Yes, but anyways, going back to where I was starting to read that, NL is Netherlands, Holland. Awesome, because that was my assumption the whole time. Anyways, Sigor, you can also look out for older used Xeon workstations on eBay for your home lab. Yep, great suggestion. That's what my home lab is currently running. Oh, but you might have to wait for good deals. They can fluctuate quite a bit on price. I agree. iLu, Dell Optiplex, small form factor. Yeah, 720 or 920 are great machines for home labbing. Yeah, good call for sure. If you look up on eBay, you can find an i5 with 16 gigs RAM for cheap. Yeah, that's awesome. And they're very compact too. And it's just kind of like all in one. Intel NUCs are another great one too. They're kind of on the expensive end because it's pretty good performance. And you're paying for the convenience of size and everything too. But Intel NUCs are awesome. I mean, I have an Intel NUC, I don't know, one of the first i5 ones, and it's fantastic. I can't find anything to do with it. It should be, I should throw a Kubernetes on it, and it should be added to my nodes so that like if my whole entire server rack shuts down, at least that thing can try to keep up. iLu, i5, i7s are nice for Plex, as they have Intel QuickSync, which many of the Xeons do not. Yeah, good, awesome, good call. Helps with transcoding. Yeah, QuickSync for sure. Let's see here. Sigor. Found an HP Z600 with 48 gigs of RAM and 2 Xeons for 12 cores, 24 threads. Hey, that sounded like my device. For $200. This worked best for me because it was complete enough that I could know right off the gate if something was wrong with the machine and didn't have to worry about checking different parts from different sellers. Yeah, awesome. I'm a fan of that. Yeah, anytime you can get something that's mostly complete or all complete, I'm a fan of, because then, you don't have to worry about finger pointing or troubleshooting something, and then when parts are missing, I'm like, why are the parts missing? Because did you part it out or was something wrong with that? Yeah, I totally agree. But awesome. Fiscal year, Shuckle Samurai. All right, I was like, I wasn't sure if it was, but then fiscal year, oh yeah, could mean a few things. But yeah, I figured it was one of the two. Sigor just added more bells to it as needed. Yeah, for sure. Takano, IR blaster that automatically gets you to the Wi-Fi settings to change. Oh, let's see this. IR blaster that automatically gets you to the Wi-Fi settings and changes the Wi-Fi password. Let me think about that. An IR blaster, infrared. I don't know. I think you're trying to troll me. But let me think about it. Yeah, how would infrared help out here? Let me know. Norite, have you messed with free IPA before? I haven't. I haven't heard of it, but I haven't. What sounds interesting about it to you? Mr. Jobot, for home labs, can anyone recommend a DNS server with a web interface for administration? Free IPA seems like overkill. Power DNS seems like a good one. Any other ones that people can recommend? Yeah, I think a lot of us use Pi-hole, which is not only DNS, it does a lot of other things. But I mean, it might not be, have the features you're looking for. But no, I've had very little experience with DNS. I've done Microsoft DNS stuff. I've done just the plain old DNS forwarder stuff that, your routers give you. And then I've done Pi-hole. Other than that, I don't have a ton of experience with it at all. But yeah, let me know. I've never heard of Power DNS, and I haven't used free IPA. But yeah, let me know. Let's see here. Where are we going? Both mentioning free IPA, yeah, for sure. Software at. I'm driving home and it takes a half an hour. Awesome. Well, be careful. Hopefully you're not watching. Hopefully it's audio only. And how are you typing this if you're driving? Turn me off. But be careful. Actually, Peanuts. Update on Rancher, pulled from latest 248. Yeah. Tried to run Rancher on Rancher OS and Ubuntu, all virtualized. Issues were A, first, login asks for current password, which I guess. B, after login, the site does not reload. Create a new workload, requires namespace, cannot select an existing namespace from the drop-down list, always empty, need to create a new namespace to populate the drop-down. Seems like the pull container is actually not a clean one. Yeah, that does not sound good. So instead of do latest, just pin, well, you said you did 248. What you can do instead of latest, because latest is truly latest, it's the last time they built that Docker container, pin it to 248. So instead of, rancher/rancher:/latest, do rancher/rancher:\v.2.4.8, and try it that way. Oh, stable. Same issues. We'll do the tag. Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying. You're ahead of me. All right. Let's see. Tinkerfoo. Never considered this topic up until now. I just implemented unit integration test to make sure everything runs after modifications. Never had the security topic that much on my radar. I should probably consider to invest some time in to get an idea about DevSecOps. Yeah, I totally agree. I had to wrap my brain around that one for a little bit and I had to dig deep on that one because, like I said, you can do npm audit. I mean, I use JavaScript, so I can run npm audit, which will give me, it will look for vulnerabilities in any of the packages that I'm using. And then if you're using other linting tools, it can lint your code and tell you if there are security issues with the code you're writing. So not only the libraries you're getting, but the code you're writing, but the linters should be able to do that. But I think I have to see what's out there. Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued. I need to look again because some of that code I write, questionable. Mr. Joe, I think it's the next area for pen testers to move from into, as from my limited exposure, it seems like people only care if the code works and not that it's secure. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's adding one more layer of requirements to code that needs to be written. And I do think, I mean, yeah, absolutely. It lands in the hands of the developers. I feel like, a lot of things obviously get pushed down to developers, as it should. I mean, they're writing the code, but, they're writing features, they're designing software, writing features, writing unit tests, writing possibly end-to-end tests or integration tests. Obviously security, they're doing a ton. And if there are tools there that help them do the right thing, I'm all for it. Especially in automation, in CI, or just in time as you're writing, or linters built into IDEs, absolutely all for it. The sooner you can catch those things, the better. Scanning later, not so good. Scanning while you're writing or during CI, be awesome. Totally agree. Techno, my opinion is that Apple software is great. They do a lot of things, but the thing I disagree with is the pricing on their hardware. I feel the cost is too high for the hardware you get. Yeah, and yeah. I agree, it's expensive. I agree that a lot of their things are expensive. And it's hard to compare too, right? If they have all of their own silicon and they have all of their own hardware, it's really hard to do an apples to apples. Yeah, you like that one? Takano, that one's for you for the dad joke earlier. It's really hard to do an apples to apples comparison to other phones too, because it's like, okay, well, the A14 Bionic, yeah, I mean, and the whole thing is optimized for their software. So, I mean, you can't just go by raw clock speed or RAM or anything like that. So it gets really muddy. I will say that lately they've been focused, and I'm not saying go out and buy Apple stuff, and I'm not trying to be an apologist for them or anything like that. I'm just trying to look at it from two sides. Lately they have been focusing on low cost options for people. So, whatever the iPhone, whatever, something C or S that came out, I mean, $399. I mean, Google, their phone was $349. I mean, that's pretty, $50 Apple tax is actually one of the smallest Apple taxes that are out there. And the same with Apple Watch. And I mean, no one's even close to doing what Apple's doing in a watch. And I will say that without balking at it whatsoever. I wish there were more players in the game, but they are so far ahead. And so their watches are so far advanced that I can't even believe it anymore what they're able to do. Anyways, but I totally agree. They're focusing on a lot of low cost options now. And like I said, pure Google, the Pixel, the low-end Pixel, $349. The low-end Apple that you get, $399. So $50 Apple tax there, for sure. But yeah, anyways, not apologizing for Apple. I complain about them all the time. You guys have heard it plenty of times. I still complain about they haven't totally figured out multi-monitors unless you buy $10,000 monitors from Apple. Anyways, Takano. Oh, whoa, we're back one. That and the fact that they are a closed garden, totally agree. At least in my opinion, I don't. I think that's a publicly accepted opinion that they have closed and high walls on that garden, for sure. That's for sure. I mean, you think of app stores in general, you think of the whole Epic thing, and Epic wasn't the first one to call them out. They definitely have a walled garden, and they only have one way to get inside that garden. But yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, who knows how that'll turn out? They could say it's for a million different reasons, but it is kind of totally a walled garden for sure. Techno, that as well. I also wish that there was a I know what I'm doing, don't ask for my password 20 times when I install software switch. Yeah. Yep, it's totally like well with with Catalina and even the new iPhones and iOS 14, it's like Vista all over again. It's like this is what Windows people went through with Vista. Like all the prompts, all the annoying prompts saying like, hey, this is requiring this permission, and all the administrator prompts you got in Vista, and it got so much flack for it, but it was actually eye-opening. To see how many pieces of software that you were running as administrator, which they should never do, but it's Windows' fault for allowing that to begin with. But anyways, yeah, I totally agree. But we're definitely seeing that now, and I think that we're getting ready for a huge switch and stuff. At least with Apple stuff, it's kind of nice now when I open apps. It's like, hey, this app is requesting access to your local network to discover devices, and it's like a banking app. I'm like, no, why would they have ever needed to do anything on my local network other than get an IP address, and that's something that it's part of the operating system. So it is kind of eye-opening too, and who knows? Not saying this banking app is doing anything nefarious. It could be just that the developer, when they were checking off all the settings, they were like, sure, why not? Or they imported some library that did it, and they were like, whatever, I just need to make this work. But still, I'm like, okay, now I know. I got your number. All these apps that I'm updating or launching after iOS 14, see what you guys are doing. And now I can actually say no, which is nice. Anyways, Techno, I have jailbreak every single iPhone I would own due to a walled garden approach. You have jailbroken? Yeah, interesting. I've never done it once, but I haven't been on iOS that long. Well, been on it. About a third of my mobile life has been, I'd say about a quarter now, of my mobile life has been iPhone. So not the longest OS I've been on, but I've never jailbroken one. I didn't know. I see Snazzy talking about it and doing it, and all these people talking about it. I'm just like, I don't know if I want to. I mean, I should. You get some cool stuff with it, but not sure. Not sure where it would leave me, if it would ever leave me, like on an island where I couldn't get back to the main branch. Let's see. Wampus. How long should I leave code server before I'm able to access the dashboard? How long should I leave code server before you can able to access the dashboard? I'm not sure what you're talking about. I understand code server, but what do you mean by leave it? Mr. Jobot, recently I got a Dell PowerEdge T620 with 128 gigs of RAM and a dual Xeon E5 2670, which I'm using for a Proxmox server. Awesome. Not the quickest, but lots of room for running VMs. Hey, I'm right there with you. My 710 isn't the fastest, but I don't need it to be the fastest. Really, the reason why I got my 710 is because I need tons of RAM. I need more than 64 or whatever most desktop motherboards will give you. And I didn't want to pay prices for desktop RAM. That stuff's insanely expensive. And then I needed a decent amount of PCI Express lanes. So I'm right there with you. Mine is not bleeding edge, but it has lots of room. And I outfitted it with lots of SSDs. So it's like, sweet. So my bottleneck's not going to be disk. My bottleneck's not going to be RAM. It will be CPU someday. And if it ever gets to be CPU, I'll have to question what my workloads are doing. They're going to be pegging, that many cores or asking for that much, that many resources. And then that happens, taper it down and remove some of the cores from that VM and just say, all right, sure, you can have 100% of one core. Go for it. And just make whatever that's doing really slow. Unless it's Plex, because then you're like, whoa, what's going on? Anyways, not the quickest, but lots of room for running VMs, for sure. Techno. So, to change the Wi-Fi on the TVs automatically, oh, here we go. You would have I see, on TVs. You were answering specifically about that. You would have an IR blaster connected to a Pi. Okay, so when it receives the change password request with the new info, oh, I got you. Yeah. It used the IR blaster to turn on the TV, open the settings, maneuver to networking, then the menu, and then just change the settings. I like it. I like it. I like where this is going because I've been doing a ton of IR stuff over the last 6 days, figuring stuff out. But I like it. I like where you're going with that. And then hopefully you could send all of the codes for all of the characters too, right? But then you would have to navigate to the Wi-Fi. Yeah, update your account settings. You'd have to know, I go up, left, up, down, down. You do the Konami code to get through the menus to Wi-Fi. But yeah, I like it. I like it. I like where you're going with that one. Yeah. Hey, Jamie. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Takano, you would just need to figure out the IR codes and how to type them, emulate it with a keyboard and plug it in to a port on the TV and type. Yeah, for sure. That could also work. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hopefully though, the only thing I wonder is like the IR code, like hopefully there's an IR code for every character in the alphabet. You know what I mean? Because on TVs, you select, yeah, you know what I'm saying, but you actually have an on-screen keyboard where you actually select that character versus sending that character over IR. But I like it. I would love to see if that worked. Like if I type, but your remote control has, yeah, I like it. Because your remote control has 0 through whatever, 9, it's 0 through 9, plus asterisk and hashtag pound, whatever generation you're in. And you can send those, I assume. But can you send, all alphanumeric over IR? This is getting interesting. I might have something for you next week that'll help out. Mr. Jobot, I don't want developers to get too good at securing their code though, otherwise I'd be out of a job. Yeah, for sure. But it's an endless battle. No, I totally agree. I think, I think, yeah, I agree with the sentiment there. And a lot does get pushed down to developers. All of a sudden now they need to be security expert. But I think there's definitely a need somewhere in the pipeline to inject that process to get evaluated and to evaluate all of the code as a whole. And I think things like, NPM audit, I use JavaScript, so I keep going back to NPM audit. It's pretty good, but that's just for vulnerabilities in libraries, not for vulnerabilities within your own code. So vulnerabilities that have been exposed on third-party stuff. But I like it. I like to think about this stuff. Wampus Dev. I have tried to access the code editor through port 8443, but no connection. Oh, man, you're just having all kinds of problems. Code server should be pretty straightforward. It should be an easy one. If you want a really easy one, I mean the easiest, if you just want a quick win, spin up Heimdall. Because that one is real straightforward. I think it's like one port and one mounting of volume. And I think you need some quick wins. You're going after the tough ones. And I think you need to, try Heimdall real quick and see if that works. Gorfy, yeah, a good bit of the price of Apple has become part of their software ecosystem. At the same time, I don't own any Apple products besides an old iPod. Yeah, I totally agree. A lot of that, the Apple tax is a lot of different things. But you're right. A lot of it is, their ecosystem or their software or their software plus ecosystem stuff, right? And so some of that's cool. Some of it I don't buy into, like iCloud. I guess I kind of use it because my backups go there. Other than that, I will never store a document in iCloud. You know what I mean? But I totally agree. That Apple tax. I mean, if we had I'd love to see line items for what that Apple tax breaks down into. A lot of it would be design, a lot would be software, and a lot of it would be ecosystem. I'm sure they throw a security line item in there just because, but it'd be interesting. But yeah, for sure. Thanks, man. How you doing, Gorfy? Pylang, sup? Hey, what's up, Pylang? Is this Pylang like Python language? Because I've been doing some Python last week and it's kind of driving me crazy. Gorfy, dude, thank you so much, man. Hey, wow, Gorfy, 5 gifted subs, dude, so generous, man. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. So Absinthe, Z300Z, Demon King, Geos1, Happy PT. Enjoy your gifted sub from Gorfy, who just gifted 5 gifted subs. Dude, thank you so much, man. Hope you're doing good. Hope things are well. GeoS1, traffic, unable to obtain Acme certificate for domains. Dial TCP, TCP timeout. That is not good. That is not good. Traffic unable to obtain for domains. So the TCP timeout for those domains, so it probably means you don't have your public DNS set up to where, depends on how you're doing it. Depends on how you're doing it. But you have to have your CNAMEs or whatever set up in DNS before that will work, because that's how they're verifying that you own that domain, if that's how you're doing it. Piling, had any encounters with Proxmox plus SSD trim? I have not had encounters because I'm not trimming. Because the way I have my stuff set up, and it won't be permanent. So the way I understand it is that if you use SSDs and you use ZFS with SSDs, with Proxmox, obviously you have direct access to those disks, it should be able to work. Should. I haven't done it. That's what I've read, and I probably need to get updated on if that's still the case, because that's what I plan on moving to. Right now, I have a RAID adapter in between just because the way that my hardware is set up, but I am going to switch to that at some point when I get an HBA controller that supports IT mode. And I think that if you set ZFS up with SSDs, Proxmox uses ZFS, it should work. Should work. You guys will have to fact check me on that. Haven't dove down that yet. It's been in the back of my head like, hey, when I do this, investigate this for real. Last I read, or last I recall reading, was that should work, because ZFS and SSD should play okay. Fact check. You should totally fact check me on that. Techno. Oh no, you can always just restore your device and there will be no trace of jailbreaking. Nice, good to know. So you just restore your iOS. Oh, do you have to install iTunes and do the weird recovery mode thing? Because that's what I think I've done that before. I don't know, so long ago, and I think it was with someone else's iPod. Actually, peanuts. There's always management engine exploits. Meltdown Spectre, yeah, which have been geared more towards hardware management engines rather than simple software exploits. Yeah, good call, good call. You'll have plenty to do regardless, I say. I totally agree. Yeah, if it's not, if it's not the code people like me are writing, it's the infrastructure or platforms that they're running on. There's always something. I totally agree. Yeah, it's a good call, actually, peanuts. Takano. Along with that, with CheckRain, that's what it was. Any iPhone below the iPhone 11 can be jailbroken using that tool as long as a jailbreak exists that is compatible with the iOS version you're running. Some other people also got Android running on iPhone. What? Just like on direct hardware, currently the device with the most support is iPhone 7. That kind of blows my mind. Android running on iPhone hardware. Probably not alphanumerical, but just emulated keyboard. There you go. Yeah. So you'd have one command that's open keyboard. This is a developer in me. I'm already thinking about what that function would be, and it would be open keyboard, and then I would have a function that's type keys, and then type keys would say open keyboard, and then you would navigate to that key and put it in. I like it. This sounds super confusing, and it only works for the TV, but I would love to see it. Let's see here. You could use a simple RPI, Raspberry Pi 0W, 0 watt? Oh, Pi 0. W, that's the new, sorry. I'm reading these acronyms and it's lots of text. But anyways, you could use a simple Pi 0 W. Let me know. I had the hardest time ever finding an IR blaster that would work with a Raspberry Pi. I mean, obviously there were mini boards that you could solder on and get an IR blaster, and that had a controller, and it was a little too low tech for me, low level, high tech. It was a little too low level for me, where I was like, okay, I need something a little more robust. And I started looking at USB blasters, and there's one called the iDroid that works with phones, and it's this thing that you can use on your phone, and people use it for all types of things. And that works with a Raspberry Pi or any USB devices. But outside of that, I couldn't find anything. And that's why I ended up going with this Broadlink thing that I've been tinkering with for a week and a half. Which could lead to some interesting things here soon. It's PyBomb. Oh, I like the light change. Yeah. I set this up. I have a ton of lights, and you earn channel points. I think there's a little button down below. Get channel points. Then I set them to 1,000. You can change my lights once it hits 1,000 points for sure. Techno, never mind. When I see MVM, I always think MVM because MVM is a tool I use, but never mind. You would have to update Wi-Fi on that. So just a Pi 2 or the original Pi with a wire connection. Interesting. Yeah. I think I missed a follow in there. KSA, DK, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Mittens, the Killer Bunny. Wow, here we go. Whoa, was Mittens the Killer Bunny? Is that a movie reference? Anyways, Homeland projects. Little of all the above. Nice. Today I'm learning about ingress controllers, Nginx ingress, in Kubernetes, and trying to get a load balancer working in kind with MinLB. Good luck. That's all I can say. Good luck. It's tough. So yeah, that's awesome. So if you're exploring that, that means you already have some workloads running, which is pretty awesome. Or maybe you just have one small pod and maybe it's just a website or a web service. But that's really awesome. I think that's when, so once you cross that bridge and see the end, that's when things get really awesome. Because then you get an ingress controller, whatever you end up using, you get SSL, you get certificates, and then you can route things publicly, which I think is really awesome. That's where things get really cool. I mean, obviously, things local are super fun too, and you can obviously VPN to all that stuff if you have VPN working. But yeah, public hosting gets kind of fun because then you can show people what you're working on or what you have running, or you can access it without VPN as long as you secure it. But so yeah, totally agree. Mittens the Killer Bunny. Good luck. If you need help with some of that, I've done some stuff with traffic. Don't know if you're interested in that, but I have a tutorial on that. I'm not saying it makes it easier, but at least someone has done it before, and it's super tough stuff. I'm not gonna lie, and it really racked my brain because I'm definitely not, I'm not a web hosting or Kubernetes / middle LB / cloud engineer. So it kind of racked my brain, but I think I figured it out. Easton, how's it going? Haven't seen your name in a while. Just hopping in to chat for the first time in a while. That's what you were just saying. So hello, how's it going? Gorfy, dude. There's all the gifted subs. Thanks so much, man, dude. Appreciate it. It's Python Lang, indeed. Yeah. I figured that's what it was because I see Pylang and I see Golang. When I see Golang, I'm like, oh, it's Go language. Awesome. Yeah. Need your help. Dear Pylang, I need your help. And why are you white space sensitive? Because it kind of drives me crazy. Why don't you use semicolons and curly brackets? No, I'm kidding. It's obviously a decent, or more than decent, a great language, or it wouldn't be so popular. Gorfy, enjoy subs of the people taking off family dinner. Thanks, man. Hopefully you got to hear me say thanks a million times. Thank you, dude. Appreciate it. Enjoy the family dinner. Enjoy the time. I'm Lymanson. Bought a StarTech 25U rack server last night. Gonna finally get everything racked and off the floor. Nice, yeah. That sounds awesome. Yeah, StarTech ones are awesome. So I assume you got the open concept like steel one. That's pretty solid. Maybe with casters. Sounds sweet. All right. What do you guys use for downloading Linux ISO? QTorrent, Deluge, Transmission. Honestly, I mean, me personally, honestly, I download over HTTP, I click the alternative download and I grab it. But for seeding stuff, I use Transmission for seeding Linux. Yeah, Transmission. But I don't know what other people are using. Maybe what I'm using is not good. But I did set that up in one of my videos because I wanted to show off Heimdall. But I haven't been seeding. I've been a bad Linux person. I haven't been seeding Linux as I should. But when you look at all the big companies that are actually providing alternative downloads, I mean, these are people that have like 10 gig pipes that are hosting it. So I'm like, my 300 meg upload probably isn't helping. Anyways, Takano, yeah, it's basically that, just restoring through iTunes. Yeah, I figured that's what it was. You still got to go through the old iTunes route. Wampus, I'm just going to try Heimdall. I'm really annoyed and sad my day of debugging didn't work. Yeah, I'm super sad for you too. Those should be pretty easy wins. And if you want, well, I won't even confuse it anymore. Try Heimdall because that's super straightforward. The most straightforward thing I think is just grab Nginx, host it, because Nginx has a hello world webpage that it just shows, but that's confusing the matter because then like you got to go figure that out too. At least with Eindal and the stuff I'm doing, you kind of have someone to show you what to do too. Wampus. Oh God, I gotta remap ports. My Ranchi, yeah. Yeah, story of my life the last like 3 months. Mr. Jobot, Nginx proxy manager is great for container to deploy and expose services. My services explode. Expose services through a reverse proxy. Let's encrypt. Integration is simple and the web UI is great. Yeah, I hear nothing but great things about Nginx proxy manager. I should know more about it. I should for sure. But I hear nothing about great things about it. And it's got a huge following on GitHub. And they do have a great web UI too. Where Traffics is kind of like, oh, by the way, there's a web UI. I mean, kind of looks cool, but I never use it. But yeah, I should check it out some more. I should know more about this. Yeah, there's the proxy manager. Yep, that's it. JC21 for sure. Techno. I had a project I was attempting to making all the laser tag type system, having all the parts and everything. Interesting. Yeah. That sounds interesting. That sounds interesting for sure. Just the demos I had got destroyed due to a cousin knocking onto the floor and got lazy and never rebuilt it. That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Man, I used to love laser tag when I was younger. That was like so awesome in the bouncy houses or whatever. Yeah, for sure. Man, you could, yeah. Because these infrared things that I have, they're infrared sensors like at the top, and it shoots it everywhere because it has no idea where your devices are. This would totally just be like, this device, if you set it up that way, it'd totally be like the AoE, the area of effect of infrared, and just destroy everyone that was in a room if you're playing laser tag type stuff. Because somehow this reaches my lights behind the couch, and it's like in front of me. It's bouncing off everything in this room, and there's no real apparent way of knowing which way the beams go. I think it's just scattershot. Let's see here. I'm Lymanson. Yes, got that exact StarTech rack you mentioned. Nice. Everything that is enclosed is $800. Nice. I don't have a car, so I can't easily buy used off Craigslist, Facebook from Marketplace. I hear you. And those parts are hard to find. I think that, I've said this a few times, but man, the secondhand market now for server racks and servers in general, the value of those things keep going up. I think the demand is going up, which is driving the value up. Because man, people used to just say, come take this for free. I don't want this server rack anymore, People were giving that stuff away. And now it's like, no, they want legit money for it. Futz ZA, hey, thanks so much for subscribing. Really appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Man, thank you so much. Man, you guys are awesome. Yeah. So, the secondhand market or secondhand, whatever, used server stuff, price keeps going up. Sufferette, I'm back. How's it going? Good to see you. Takano, I had all the source on GitHub for anyone to use. All the other solutions we found out there were closed source and paid. Yeah, nice. And yeah, these use IR as well. I also built some compatibility for some commercial laser tag solutions. Nice, man. We can go to your house and play laser tag. I'll rent a bouncy castle. Wampus, I just built a free HTML hosting site. Are you able to check it out? Sure, sometime. Yeah, put it in Discord or something. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll check it out sometime. Why not? Is it hosted? Well, is it hosted in your own infrastructure? Because otherwise, I'm not going to check it out. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, post it in Discord. Sure, sometime. What's up? Futzia, yo Tim, appreciate the content. Your tutorials have helped out. Sorry, text is jumping. Let me start all over. Yo Tim, appreciate the content. Your tutorials have helped with setting up a proper home lab. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully it is proper. Some of the stuff I do, I think it's solid. Some of it's, not like enterprise grade stuff. I kind of leave that for the people who want, high availability enterprise stuff to kind of go down that route. But yeah, I'm so helpful. I'm so thankful that it's helped you, and also thankful for the sub. Really appreciate it, man. What's the latest thing you've added to your home lab? Curious. I'm Lymanson. Good idea for an investment printer ink and server rails. worth more than silver and gold. Good idea for an investment printer ink and server rails. Worth more than silver and gold. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, for old used server stuff, gear in general, price keeps going up. Mr. Jobot, any thoughts on Rancher versus Portainer now that Portainer CE has Kate's integration? Yeah, this comes up. And this came up a lot even before Portainer supported Kubernetes. Let me get a drink. I'm just gonna crush the rest of that because I probably won't get back to it. Yeah, this is this question comes up a lot, and I don't know of the best way to answer this because really, when people ask me that question, I always ask questions back in return. Like, what are you looking for? Like, are you looking for Kubernetes? Like, do you care a lot about Kubernetes? And some people will say, no, I just want a UI to spin up Docker containers. And then I'll say, okay, well, if that's all you're looking for, like Portainer does that really nicely because, Portainer CE, with Portainer 2.0, you have the option to manage Docker containers on a Docker host, or you can manage Docker Swarm, and now you can manage Kubernetes. And so if people are just like, nah, I don't care about any of that crazy Kubernetes stuff, yeah, Portainer's a good fit. So then the next question is, if they're like, yeah, I care about Kubernetes, then it's like, okay, have you used Kubernetes? Have you used Portainer before? And so if they say, yeah, I've used Portainer before, Portainer might be a good fit because they already know what to expect. They already, they already understand that product, and configuring it might be just as simple as it was before. But then if they're like, no, I never used Portainer, I just have heard of these two products, where should I start? That's where it gets interesting for me. Because I obviously run them both. I run Portainer more because I was more curious about what it does, how it compares. Once they said, hey, it's Kubernetes is here, I spun it up and I used it. And it was really simple. But I have a soft spot in my heart for Rancher, and it's nothing to do with that company or anything. It's just like, Rancher's been doing this for a really long time, and it's not their first rodeo. I'm gonna throw all kinds of dad jokes in here for Techno. It's not their first rodeo, and Rancher, the Kubernetes version, they've supported Kubernetes in some form or fashion for years, and so it's not the first time they've done this. They're not that new to the game. They are new to people because they really, this was an enterprise tool. But now that people want to run enterprise stuff like stuff at home, it's becoming more popular, at least with home people. So for me personally, I choose Rancher in my own environment because they've been doing it for a really long time. They figured out a lot of stuff. There's pretty good documentation. That's not to say Portainer's not plowing the same path and doing the same thing or doing it their way. And their way might be better. And I'm always going to keep an eye on them and keep track of what they're doing, because at the end of the day, like they're both making Kubernetes really easy. And what they're allowing people to do is to stop thinking about YAML. And so anytime, and don't get me wrong, like YAML's awesome and it gave us a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, like for me, it's kind of a win if I'm not managing YAML. I struggle with it with some things, and mostly it's formatting. It's all my fault, right? Because I'm putting white space where it shouldn't be, a tab where it shouldn't be, a list when it wasn't a list, all the syntax stuff that I'm doing wrong. But for me, like at least me being an administrator of my whole entire network and systems here in my home, like I don't want to use YAML all the time. I don't want to I don't have, dedicated DevOps teams that are creating awesome YAML and feeding that YAML to Kubernetes APIs and can really understand and debug everything about Kubernetes. Basically, I want a UI for it. It's great to know that at the end of the day, I kind of, I can use kube control and I can get my way around in kube control. And I know that, hey, I got to have YAML and feed, Kubernetes API YAML. But I don't want to manage all that at home. So anyways, that's a really long answer, but it all boils down to those couple of things. Like, do you really want Kubernetes? Have you used Portainer before? And then I tend to lean towards Rancher, at least for now, because they've been doing this for a really long time. They have a lot of features there that Portainer hasn't implemented yet. And it's that simple. So anyways, not that simple, but that's my answer. Sorry, that's long. Wampus Dev, it's hosted. All right, quick win. That's what I was saying. Go after Heimdall. That's a quick win because you need quick wins, you know, to build up your to build up your confidence, and then go after the tough ones. Don't go after the tough ones first. And people watch my videos, they're like, yes, I'm gonna do reverse proxy right now, and I don't even have my first workload running, or I'm gonna totally go and virtualize or containerize Pi-hole, you know, and it's like, that's their first foray into Rancher. And I'm like, oh man, go for a quick win, you know, or get some quick wins in between. Like save those easy ones to sprinkle those out in between the hard ones. But that's awesome. Techno, it never got fully advanced. I wanted to build in some radio transmitter receivers, like the main controller would keep track of scores and everything. Awesome. Yeah. Software rat, I should buy the Logitech G29 or server. Or a server. Server. That's what I say. I don't know. Software rat, the Fantech rails are so terrible. Yeah, I don't know enough about the Fantech rails, but Takano. And the way I would detect who killed who would be every time you shot your gun, it would send your player ID to the other player. I like it. Then they would be able to handle and transmit the packet back to the rest of the guns and update the scores and such. That's pretty awesome. Futza. Added OpenVPN to Rancher server. Oh yeah. Also, OpenStack to see how they would work. Awesome. How was it adding OpenVPN to your Rancher server? It sounds super awesome. I love it because some people don't have that service on their edge. Same with WireGuard. Takano was debating between Bluetooth, LoRa Mesh network, but I ended up deciding to just use normal transmitter since it was serial communication. Yeah. And then, and you didn't have to deal with Bluetooth, I think, handshaking and pairing or something like that. I don't know. I haven't done a ton of Bluetooth, but I've done some stuff in code with Bluetooth and pairing and stuff and putting in pairing mode, and all that was not fun. Sure, it's a lot more standardized now. Because if I went with mesh, it would have to handle how guns mesh together and transmit back to the station. Mr. Joba, I'm assuming I can't post links here, but have you seen something whilst trying to learn this new technology? That website gives me anxiety. No, I can't, but you can post it in Discord for sure. I tried JScript, Node.js, have no idea what to do for a login register website, software rat. Yeah, that's a big feature to add for sure. My advice there, like if you're, it just depends, right? So if you're doing Node.js and JavaScript and you want to build a login, I mean, it depends. Like, what are you using for your front end? Are you using React? Are you using Angular? Is it just plain old HTML and JavaScript? Do you actually have a service on the back end when you say Node.js, or are you just using Node.js on your front end to test or use something else? Yeah, that's a big question. Typically, I go with third-party auth for my front ends because it's pretty simple to implement. You implement a couple of routes, usually, Google or whoever you want to go with for a third-party auth, have a library for you. And when I say simple, it's still not as easy as just plug and play, but it's a lot easier and safer than implementing auth yourself. I know that for sure. Mr. Jobot, landscape.cnf, seem to be censored. Landscape.cnfc.io. Okay, seems to be censored. Yeah, links are blocked in here because I can never validate any of the links and I want to keep people safe. Easton, I really like listening to this conversation. I'm new to coding and programming and I feel like I'm learning a lot, even if I'm lurking. Getting ready for next week's school week and unpacking after a move currently. Wow, yeah. Well, thank you. It's just take it with a grain of salt, just my perspective. But you know, I've had a lot of random experiences, a lot of great experiences, and a lot of okay experiences, a lot of different places. But yeah, I love hearing and thinking about all this stuff too. Like I would have never thought about how to design a laser tag point system and kill system if Techno hadn't done it. It's interesting to think about in the back of my head for sure. And yeah, it's so many interesting topics for sure. Wampus Dev. Oh, I didn't mean Heimdall. I meant my site is hosted. Nice. So you got it going. New video idea: how to deploy your own free VPN for up to 12 months on AWS using OpenVPN free to clients connected allowed. Huh. Interesting. So you're saying like basically become a VPN provider on AWS, the OpenVPN free. So VPN provider, I think. That's kind of what it looks like. You could use Express, yep, MongoDB to accept post requests, ID, yep, rate limiter, rate limiting, registers, add checks, see if the email is invalid. Yeah, in the database. Yeah, if you want to roll your own, yeah, local auth for sure, absolutely. Totally agree going with Express and Mongo. Yeah, it's my jam. Node, Express, Mongo, yeah, and then React in front. Tree for free. Currently, trying to set up Travis CI pipeline to deploy Maven Central with auto version increase. Oh man, that does not sound like fun. That does not sound like fun. I totally understand what you're trying to do. Yeah, so you're trying to auto increment your version and during CI to deploy to Maven, which is your package registry. So you're probably doing Java. Man, that does not sound fun. I am kind of doing I do a lot of similar stuff for a lot of my JavaScript code. I have a okay pattern, not the best, but I have some tools I use locally that come with every repo that then I tag my code, which then increments my manifest, which then builds in CI, which then deploys to wherever it needs to deploy. But that stuff's not fun to figure out. And the part about it that is awesome and stinks at the same time, it's like you figure it out once and you get it working and you're like, whew, so glad that worked. Never have to touch that again. That's the part that's kind of awesome. The part that stinks is like you got to figure it out once and it's like, oh man, it's tough. But the nice part about it is after you figure it out once, it runs during CI and you're just like, yep, got new versions all the time. Wampus, use MongoDB to store logins. All right. Also make sure you have the bcrypt and encrypt the password and hashes. Yeah, roll your own off for sure. Hey, well, that's a tough one to say. Icondroga. Icondroga. I'm going with that. Hey, Techno Tim, thanks for the awesome Apache Guacamole video on YouTube. I'm taking it for a spin tomorrow. Awesome. Yeah, let me know how it goes. Yeah, it's Takano mentioned this one to me, I think like a month ago. And I'd always known what it was because Linux Server.io has a version of it. But Linux Server.io version was like just the backend piece, didn't include the front end. You got to roll your own like Postgres database, not roll your own, but host your own. Way too complicated. And when he mentioned that one to me, I was like, I totally get it now. Yeah, it's all in one. Like make the complex simple. Like I love this. But yeah, thank you. JF Manamar. Oh, I'm so sorry on names. Austin spun it up a little while ago. I'm going to get that. JF Manamanter. Help me with your name, please. Because I want to pronounce it correctly. But that's awesome. You got to go in too. See here, software ran. Kuglogger, I can't translate it, has broken at friend server deployment. It's not okay with enterprise Rails. I don't know what Kuglogger is. Wampus. No, I mean, host your own VPN yourself, like instead of paying $10 a month. Yeah. Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah, I see what you mean. But is it anonymized then? If you're going through AWS? So there's two things, when people say VPN, they most of the time they mean VPNing into somewhere else, I guess a proxy or something, right? That anonymizes you, encrypts that traffic, and at the same time anonymizes you. And then there's, hey, I have a VPN in my home to get back a VPN server that I use a client to get back into my own home, which I use, and I think a lot of people do too. Yeah, let me know. I'm gonna spin up MidLB in traffic. Yeah, go for it. It's awesome once you get it going. But I'll leave it at that. Icon Daroga. Yeah, it seems like an obvious choice now that it's possible. Your name is German-like. Yeah. Been running like this on AWS free for about a year using WireGuard. Nice. I use OpenVPN Connect. Nice. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how that's protecting you. Or anonymizing you. I guess it's, yeah. Because like if you're running WireGuard in AWS, I mean, you know, and you have a WireGuard server there, I mean, yeah, you are anonymizing yourself from maybe the services you're accessing, but you're not anonymizing yourself from AWS. It's routing your traffic through Amazon services. Yeah, I totally get that, but they could pin that all back to you. I'm not saying you're doing nefarious things, but I'm just saying like, in general, like you have an account at AWS that you're paying for, and if you did something bad, all someone has to do is say, hey, this IP came from AWS. Here's the court papers, AWS. Tell me who this person is. Not that you guys are doing anything bad. I'm just talking about like, you know, purist type, anonymizing type stuff. But yeah. Maybe I'm going too far. The PC Geek. Hey, that looks like a newer name. Not really making you anonymous, but safeguarding your connection. Yeah, totally. I agree. I totally agree. And a lot of people and I don't mean to make those synonymous. And so maybe I was making an assumption that everyone else makes those synonymous too, saying that, hey, VPN is also making you anonymous, which it's not. It's just, you're basically securely proxying through a tunnel, right? And then coming out some other end. Yeah, totally agree. For some reason, I was under the impression at first that he was talking about, hey, let's host your own VPN. And now, yeah, totally get it. Mr. Joe Bot, easiest way to stay anonymous is to use a VPN hosted on a compromised server. Yeah, because they don't know who. Yeah, for sure. Self-hosting is a better option. Maybe do that then, or well, yeah. I do host my own, and it doesn't make me anonymous. It just keeps my tunnel secure. So it just basically says like, I don't trust this network I'm on. Kind of trust my home network a little bit more. And then go through my ISP. Actually, Peanuts. When the ISP is still out on service, the ISP is now unaware. Yeah, that's a good point too. Self-hosting wouldn't work. Okay, I don't know what you said. Would work or wouldn't work. Not for anonymous, but it'll work for VPN. Icon Daroga. I'm using WireGuard via AWS so that I can access services in other countries. Yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, I know that was a big thing people use it for is I think Netflix too. They're like, hey, the US catalog of Netflix has like all the great stuff. And I know that because a few times I traveled outside the country and tried to watch Netflix. I'm like, oh yeah, not the greatest stuff here. So I actually VPN'd back home. Not that I was watching a ton of Netflix, but I did that for a long time. One time I was in Canada for a while. I did that. Same with Mexico. PC Geek. Oh man, scrolling, please. Oh my gosh, my scroll is broken. There we go. The PC Geek, I am new to your stream, by the way. I just started watching YouTube videos. Hey, thank you. Welcome for sure. Yeah, welcome. Hope you're enjoying it. Tails OS, haven't heard of Tails OS. Cam, the 3, is it Camrix? PC Geek, I use Turnkey Linux. They also have a very easy to set up OpenVPN VM. I can get back to my network from remote. Awesome. Yeah. I use OpenVPN and been using WireGuard lately. Trying to figure that thing out. Wampus Dev. I just set up my old laptop as a server. Nice. Because I'm 13 and I can't buy a rack or a proper one. I will probably buy a Raspberry Pi in the future to accompany it. Awesome. Well, congratulations on your first server. Laptop as a server. Sounds awesome. Be careful on the battery piece. I mean, I don't know if this is always the case, but if you're going to leave that thing running and plugged in, I know it seems awesome to have like, hey, I got battery backup. If this ever dies, I would probably pull the battery out if it's going to be on. I mean, you never know on batteries too, especially if it's older. But don't mean to scare you. Awesome you're doing it. And I used the laptop for a server for a long time too, because it was there and it was easy. But yeah, keep an eye on that battery, just to make sure. But yeah, awesome. And it'd be sweet if you get some Raspberry Pis too. Chimerix or Cam. I'm gonna go Cam. Cam, that's easier. Cam. Might end up switching to Ubuntu or elementary OS Techno. Nice. Yeah, I've used Ubuntu for a long time. I tried other flavors and I keep going back to it. I mean, I use the server way more than the desktop. So to me, it's like, okay, you know, Debian, a little more on the edge of Debian than real Debian, but Debian's super stable. Tails and Tor isn't as secure as people think it is. It suffers from the 51% problem. If you can control enough exit nodes, it breaks the anonymity. And if you think various government organizations don't do that, think again. Yeah, for sure. Because 10 gig. Because 10 gig. Oh yeah. Why you're choosing Linux? I'm on your Discord, Techno Tim. You can just call me John. All right, John. That's so much easier, John. Because all right, I'll call you John. John. Oh yeah, John from earlier today. Yeah. Your Twitch name. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it if I were to. But John, I know the John because I saw your name earlier. You were asking about traffic stuff. Wampus. I took out the battery. That's what my parents said. I pulled it out. Don't worry. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Because yeah, you just never know. And if you're not going to use it, like why have that lithium ion thing plugged in the whole entire time? Mr. Jobot, I've spoken to GCHQ, UK's NSA, about Tor, and let's just say I'll never use it again. All right, yeah. Anything like that is going to be highly tracked for sure. Especially with the claims of what it is, and then the type of things it attracts. You know, you never know. Actually, Peanuts, well, the battery would work as a USB. All right. PC Geek, what's a USB? I don't know what a USB is. Universal, I don't know. Supply, I don't know what the V stands for. PC Geek, one of the first servers was a Cobalt rack. Oh, interesting. Wait, USB, German? German, or is it? I think UPS, maybe. Maybe. Takano. Yeah, I might go with Linux because it supports the Solar Flares cards. Yeah, it's probably a good choice. Condaroga. Anonymizing via Tor is something similar. Presents a new set of vectors for tracking, but trackable. Oh man, I can't scroll. Why can't I scroll? But trackable you are. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I haven't seen a ton of stuff released on that, but I mean, anything's gonna. I mean, if you connect enough dots, you're gonna find your way back home. I think so. Cam, good way to think about it. If it goes on the internet, it's captured. Yeah. Also, it helps you use VPN service and exit node not in the 5e, 9i, or 16i countries. Yeah, this is all good. All good stuff. Yeah, UPC or UPS. Yeah, UPS. I was saying don't use it. Don't depend on a laptop battery as a UPS and use it as a server 24/7, 365 because batteries, I don't know. They can, I don't want to say explode, but I've seen them expand and I've seen them melt and I've seen them burn things. And so if you have that on 24/7, more opportunities for that to happen. And if that's somewhere in your house where you don't really pay attention, like a basement or something, you never know. But yeah. Oh, protocol. Howdy, how's it going? Cam, Tor is a no-go. It's been conked for years. Yeah. Why not just use proxy chains through different proxy providers instead of Tor? Does 51% problem still apply? Update on Rancher. I hate Rancher OS installs. Yeah. I also hate Hyper-V snapshot management. Man, you are going down two tough paths. Rancher OS is tough. I totally agree. I just end up spinning up my own Docker host because I want my own tools. And while Rancher OS seems like work in a perfect world, I don't get some of the management tools I want. And then Hyper-V. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot better than it was, but man. It's under cabinet, so good idea. Nafalona. Yeah, that command's not going to work. Mr. Jobot, if you set up Rancher on K3OS, it's really nice. Yes, I've done some K3S type stuff too, for sure. but I installed K3S on top of Ubuntu. I keep going back to that. John, Hyper-V snapshots are junk, yeah. Mr. Jobot, been looking at a flat car Linux too. Haven't heard of it. Sounds interesting. Protocol, I've had a lot of issues with Hyper-V and rolling back checkpoints. Yeah. I haven't done Hyper-V stuff in a while. Is it getting better? I don't know. Maybe not. I haven't done it in a while. I should. But also, I should probably mention, and I hate to do this, but I'm getting closer. I'm gonna call it quits on the stream today. I do have some things I need to take care of, and also Saturday is just kind of my evening to just kind of check out after everything that's gone on through the week. But there's a lot of great conversation going on. And hey, Cam, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. There's a lot of great conversation going on. It seems like a lot of new names in the channel, and I would hate to miss this opportunity to tell you that you can continue this conversation in our Discord server. Yeah, Toscano's already on it. He knows my segue. But there's a link to the Discord server. We would love for you to join. There's so many new topics that you can talk about. We have lots of channels. Some are very high tech, like security, IoT, code. Some are very low tech, like pets and memes. So I encourage you to join. And in that way, you'll be able to connect with everyone here. Obviously, you're free to continue to chat in my channel. You can chat in here all day long until I come back on Tuesday at 3 CST, but it would be pretty lonely because I think your chat goes away if you ever refresh it and I'm not live. So anyways, dude, thank you guys so much. So many follows, gifted subs, Gorfy, subs. Yeah, Futz with a sub. Oh man, and now I got to call them all out because it's hard to track these. Had some bits from Kyle. Thank you so much. I'm sure there was more, but it's so hard to read these on my dashboard. So I apologize if I missed one, but do know that I really do appreciate it. And like I always say, like just being here, chatting, hanging out is more than enough. John, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Protocol, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. So in the meantime. Yeah, I will be in Discord if you need anything. Yeah, let me know, and I will see you guys, Tuesday? 3 CST. All right, so have a good night, take care, and see you later.